This video is going to walk us through our Life at War presentation along with our notes. Starting off, just to give a good overview of our armies and the way everything is organized, is that right-hand side, the blue section is going to be the people. And then on the left-hand side, you're going to see the organization of the entirety of the army. On the left, you'll see how soldiers are grouped to make that army. And so I'll make my pen if I can or something over here. We'll just show the left hand side is going to be our whole section of the army. You've got a company. A company is worth about 100 men. You've got a regiment. A regiment is going to be worth around 1,000 men. And then inside of a brigade, you're going to have roughly 2,000 men. So there's two regiments inside of a brigade. A division has two brigades, so a division is around 4,000 men. A corps is going to have about 8,000 or more, and then our army is going to have around 16,000. On the right, you're going to see the hierarchy of rank. So most people are going to be a private, the lowest level, going all the way up to a general. You're going to notice that most of the men are going to be anonymous. They're not going to know much about them. They're going to be rather disappearing into a status of a number. We're going to see that most of the men are just going to go unnoticed. Our privates are not treated very well. They're given the menial jobs, the lowest of the low. They're kind of told the grosser things to do, like burying bodies and making sure that the battlefield is taken care of after the, and then going on up, you're getting more and more privileges, but you're also in charge of more people, all the way up to the general. And there's many generals during this war. You'll see on this picture that we have a lot of people coming from a normal life signing up, mustering in as recruits. Most of the people are going to be coming in from factories and farms, living inside of the North and the South in order to fight. The Civil War is often called the Boys' War. Why do you think that might be? Well, if we look at this chart, we're going to see just how many people are under the age of 16. So 10% of everybody who fought was under the age of 16. The average age of a soldier is between 16 and 23. We can see that because 16 to 23 is in red, and it is the 70% section of our pie chart here. Everybody who was over 23, well, there's not many of them either. They're often going to be found at the top of this pyramid. Most of the people who are older than 23 are going to be ranked, which means they're going to be individuals who are in charge of others. The 16 to 23-year-old, most are going to be around here. If you're a farmer and you sign up and you're getting excited to fight, if you work your way up all the way to a general, you're going to be the only individual who did that. Only one soldier started as a private and worked all the way up to a general. Most are going to start as a private and maybe work up into around here. If you have a college degree and you're going into fight, you're often going to start right around here as a lieutenant. Not many were over 23, roughly 20%. And you're going to see that most of the soldiers are going to be in this 16 to 23 range. If we were to pick one of them out, just an average individual from that 70% section, we're going to see that the average soldier, either a Yank or a Reb, and a slang term for that is going to be like a Reb is a rebel, a Confederate, a Southern soldier. A Yankee, is going to be a Federal, a soldier from the North. If we were to pull one of these guys up, not the seated ones, these are going to be ranked. We can see insignia right here. If we were to pull one of these guys up, we're going to see that the average one is going to be a white native born, which means they were from America, born here, didn't come over from another country. They're going to be farmers, they're going to be a Protestant, they're going to be single, and between that 18 and 29 range. We went up a little bit there because the average is, everybody, but we're going to have most soldiers. The average soldier is going to be a Protestant, farmer, white, native born. The average height of these guys was 5'8". The average weight is 143 pounds. Most of the soldiers are between that kind of 18 to 23 range, but the average age of all the soldiers is going to be 25. So most soldiers are going to be within that younger range, 16 to 23, but the average everybody soldier, the average age there is going to be 25. There's a lot of reasons why different soldiers would fight, and men from both sides are going to be inspired to fight. There's going to be a lot of pride in their state. There's going to be patriotism. They're excited for the adventure. A lot of these guys are going to be farmers, and they're going to use the ability to have a steady pay because they're going to be paid regularly. Soldiers at this point are going to get paid every month. The average soldier for the Union is going to fight to try to preserve the Union. They're going to say they're going to fight to keep the country together. The average soldier from the South is going to say that they're going to defend their home. And so you've got two different reasons. Somebody from the North is going to say we're fighting to keep the Union together, and someone from the South is saying we're defending their home. Well, you might wonder, why would a soldier from the South not be trying to keep the Union together? Well, the South is trying to become independent. And how come a soldier from the North might not be trying to defend their home? Well, that's because most of the states in the North won't have any battles. In the North, the only states that have major battles from the Union are going to be Maryland, Kentucky, Missouri, and Pennsylvania. There's going to be some battles that are fought in different spots. There's going to even be a battle that's fought outside the country of France. However, most major battles in the North only take place in Maryland, Kentucky, Missouri, and Pennsylvania. There's going to be a lot of African Americans who fight as well. And the African Americans who fight are going to be numbered in around 180,000, and they're going to have their own reason as to why they're going to fight. We can see that here. Following the Emancipation Proclamation, which is when Lincoln freed all of the slaves, there was the creation of about 163 units. So if we go all the way back here, this is going to count as a unit. And remember, inside of a company is 100 men. There's going to be a lot of units, 163, who are going to be African Americans. There's going to be a lot of African Americans who fight inside of the Union Navy. You'll see that they're not going to be treated equivalently, as in the African American troops are not going to be treated kindly. The North doesn't really have a significant slave population. However, that doesn't mean the North wasn't also prone to exhibit racism. There's still some deep-seated racism, and people from the North are going to argue that they're not going to want to fight next to a freed slave or an African American. There's not going to be much interaction. The USCT, the United States Colored Troops, are going to be the names of all of the units that the African Americans will fight in. They're not going to sleep in the same camp. They're not going to be sharing the same food. They're going to be operating completely independently. And most of these guys are going to be operated by a white officer. So in this kind of recruitment poster, you're going to see there's a soldier telling a former slave to stand up a man. Well, what is he implying here? That this individual isn't a man until they do what? Until they stand up. And how are they supposed to stand up like? Well, our clue is right here. They're supposed to stand up and be a soldier. Make way for liberty. So here we're going to see that individual, this guy here, is now going to be fighting. Our third panel is really interesting because we see our soldier has gotten shot holding the flag, but it says victory. Why would it say victory when he's getting shot? Was this poster made by somebody who's really racist? Was this poster wrong? What's going on here? Why would it be victory when this individual is shot? He's passed away. It says he died for me. And who is this woman? What's her deal? We have a little bit of a clue in her outfit. Her outfit matches something else we see. Her outfit's the flag. We can see that this individual is Lady Liberty. And what did he die for? What are African Americans fighting for? He died for me. Who is she? She's Liberty. So even though he got shot and died doing something for a greater good. He passed away for the cause of liberty. This is going to give us a couple of ideas with our pictures, and we're going to see that on this picture bank, we're going to have a whole bunch of different items. You're actually going to use this picture bank to fill in slide 17. I'm going to skip it in this video. You're going to use this picture bank to fill in slide 17 or page 17. Some packets of the old ones have it on page 21. I'll identify what some of these are, but I'm going to leave it to you to say what it's used for. So pause the video, answer through on 17 or 21. Number 1, canteen, used to keep water. Number 2 is a pan, used for cooking. Number 3 is a cartridge box, and we know that this one is from the Union. It says US. Cartridges are kind of like the bullets, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. You had to keep them dry and safe, so you put them inside of a pouch so they wouldn't get wet. Number 4 is a toothbrush. 5 is going to be a razor. 6 is some soap. Most soldiers are going to carry soap. They're not going to use it all the time, but they're going to carry it. You sleep most times on the ground. If you're lucky enough to keep the blanket that you started with, that's number 7. Most nights, you're not going to put up a tent. During winter, you might build a log structure or use a tent, but most times during the summer, the spring, the fall, you're not going to sleep in a tent. You're just going to put your blanket on the ground if you're lucky enough to have a blanket. If you don't have a blanket, you're just going to sleep on the ground. Same with a utensil and a plate. If you lose track of these, you're eating from your hands. Number 10 is a comb, a rifle. 12 is some money. You're going to keep track of your money, and this is Confederate money. 13 are going to be photographs. 14 is a Bible. Most of our soldiers are Protestant, and they're going to carry along their Bible. The way that you communicate with home is by writing a letter. And so you're going to see that you're going to carry along your stamps, and you're going to put it inside your backpack. This is a haversack. It's a backpack. On the left-hand side, you're going to see a Confederate uniform. And on the right-hand side, you're going to see a Union uniform. Looking through some of this, you're going to have a slouch hat. It doesn't have a firm brim, so it just kind of just flop around as you wear it. This is called a shell jacket. You're going to put on a shirt underneath it, but your jacket's going to match that company as to whoever you're with. You're going to dye this jacket the same color. Pants. These are called brogans. They're leather shoes. You're going to try to keep track of these all year long, and you're walking everywhere. You're going to be walking hundreds of miles each year, and you're going to hope that these won't wear out on you. If you lose track of these, you're walking barefoot. On the right, this hat is called a kepi. On the top is going to be some sort of insignia, and then you'll be able to show what unit you're from or what your job is. This is a sack coat. Guess what object it was made from? Your pants and your brogan. I'm going to skip this video. What they ate? Well, the food is pretty bland. You're going to eat a lot of salt pork. So this is salt pork. It, you'll notice, is very fatty. There's hardly any meat onto it. and it sits inside of a bucket of salt, completely dehydrates so it can last longer, and you can put it in your pocket. And when you're ready to cook it, you reconstitute it. You toss a bunch of water into it and hope that it's going to be some sort of chewiness on it. You're going to get a ration of that once a week, and if you eat all of it on Monday, that's your loss. You have to be in charge of monitoring that. When soldiers go into battle, they're often given another ration of about 3-ish days, so that way the supply wagon doesn't have to lose track of them. This is hardtack. It's kind of like a super dry saltine cracker. You're often going to get very cheap coffee grounds, beans, peas. There's going to be rice or hominy. The lower part of this list is going to be really rare. Vinegar and molasses is going to be the way that you can flavor your food. So you just pour a bunch of vinegar or molasses into there, and then you cook your item into it and hope that you're going to get some sort of flavor too from what you're cooking. There's not much rotation on this. Most soldiers are going to sleep in little groups of 4, and they're going to combine their items and cook it all up together. They're going to be in charge of cooking for themselves. Oftentimes, it's going to be one soldier who cooks, and then the rest carry the cooking equipment. There's not a lot of variety, and there's often not a lot of food. During wintertime, you would sleep inside of a log cabin, and this is one of those drawings of a log cabin. The drawing of our log looks natural. All things, he's spelt it wrong. All things are made of logs and covered with flies or canvas, so a rain fly. Don't leak much. The dark place in the middle, right here, is rubber blankets over the door, trying to make it more waterproof. The canvas is not large enough, and there's no windows, but light comes through the cracks of the canvas. This is not going to be something that you stay in during the warmer months. During the warmer months, you sleep on the ground. During this winter time, you're going to often stay in one spot because it's too hard to move altogether. During the winter time, it's not going to be very cozy in here. It's super damp. It's cold. It is really unhygienic because everybody's living in there together. This is an image of one down in Mississippi that I took. It's super small. You're going to fit about 7 guys inside of here. You'll notice that there's a lot of space between the logs. You're going to do your best to chink this up and put in a bunch of dirt and moss and cut the tops off of this grass and try to fill it in. But you'll notice that it's got that canvas top. This is the door. There's no windows, and it's going to be cram-packed with people. I'm going to skip our video. A lot of our soldiers are going to stay in touch by writing letters. Everybody who knew how to write would write letters. During this time, that letter writing is the only real method of personal communication. You would sell a writing book, and this writing book is a notebook that would go to and from you and your loved ones. You'd write on a page, you'd send it back, and your loved one would write on the next page. They'd send it back. Soldiers really looked forward to getting letters. It was the only way to stay in touch with what was going on at home. A lot of our soldiers got homesick, and when you received a piece of mail, you would go off and read that out to everybody else. Because just because my family didn't send me a letter doesn't mean they're not going to, write one next. And I'm going to take advantage of your family's letter, and I might even imagine like it was my mom writing me. So a lot of our soldiers who didn't get daily mail because writing was hard for many people at this time, a lot of those soldiers are going to be sharing letters between each other. That's going to be the end of part 1.